On live.
Cool.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Chainlink coding year wrap up week, everyone. Patrick's not here today. He had to do some family stuff, but I'm here with Alex, Roan. Actually, how do I say your last name? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's a contentious one. I don't really know either. So some people say Roan, some people say Rowan. I don't know. I don't
You
care.
don't know. That's
Just
that's
go with it.
troubling. Well, we got people coming in slowly but surely. I don't think we did a tweet right before this one. So we did on the last one. So we're just gonna hang out and talk a little bit, and I'll just do the intro here and there. Because my man Patrick, he had to run off. He had a little bit of a situation he had to go handle. So he was like, sorry, I'm bailing on you. Will you guys be able to handle it? And I was like, sure, because I haven't talked to Alex in like a year, 1 year. We work in the same organization. You're in the Slack, so am I, but like I just don't see you. So hey, welcome everybody. It's me, Andy, and it's Alex from Chainlink Labs, who is in some developer role that I don't know. What do you do now?
So I am a blockchain engineer. So I focus on smart contracts, basically Chainlink smart contracts.
Dang. So you because when you started, you were helping with documentation. You were like part-time, like, yeah, sure, I'll help out. I'll like spiff this up for you guys. And now you're just like, they pulled you in. They're like, hey man, you are too awesome. We need to make you make things. Is that
Yeah,
basically what happens?
I mean that's the short version of it. Yeah, I was like contracting here and there. Patrick actually found some articles I was writing on Medium because I was just writing about smart contracts and stuff, and he reached out and said we need our docs working on. Do you want to help out? So yeah, I think it was like 3 days a week initially.
Yeah,
Working
sounds right.
yeah, and that's about the time you came on board as well, right?
Yeah, I think we were a really similar time. I was like right before SmartCon last year, 2020. So it was like middle of DeFi summer. It was panic time. Everybody at Chainlink Labs was like doing 3 jobs at once. They just didn't have nearly enough people, so they were like, "We'll take anybody for any time."
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that was around about the same time because it was like I don't want to say the C word, but it was like peak lockdown here when I joined Chainlink.
Oh yeah. Same here. But I already worked at home, so it was no big deal. Hey everybody, welcome. We got people joining the stream. They're like, what is this? Why are you guys live streaming? It's end of year coding wrap up with Patrick Collins, who is not here because he had some family stuff to take care of. But we have Alex Roan and me, Andy Boyan from Chainlink Labs, here to talk about all your developer questions. I'm gonna go look at your comments. Look how festive we got. I got the background going. Let's get even more festive.
No
Ready?
festivity. I said I was festive when we finished. I've got nothing going on here.
Being festive, it's about what's in your heart and on your head. Here we go.
I even looked for a Santa hat today because I knew I was coming on this, and I searched everywhere. And I was like, when have I've stumbled on Santa hats when I'm looking for like ties and stuff, but yeah, I just couldn't find any.
You wore them all out to parties and lost them.
Yeah, exactly. Christmas parties. Yeah,
That's probably what happened. This is very hot. It is an effective hat, so
yeah.
it's warm.
It looks.
So everybody, welcome to the stream. We're hanging out. We're talking. We're catching up because Alex and I haven't talked in a year since he moved out of writing documentation and into smart contract and blockchain coding. And I work on the content team. I do a lot of videos and podcasts and stuff like that. I'm not technical, so Patrick just got me on because I'm jolly. But we're having a little bit of holiday festivities. I'm having tea in these fancy cups.
Very fancy.
Yeah, very English of me. It's like I got saucers and stuff like that. So I'm very, very pleased with myself.
Was that just for my benefit? Was it?
No, I'm just all the time. We're like fully in like Great British Bake Off. We're watching Downton Abbey. I've almost got my wife to start watching Doctor Who. Like we're doing the whole thing.
Okay, so, Doctor Who is fine. I mean, the other two I have zero interest in. I mean, Doctor
Who. You make compromises for those you love, or at least I do. So we'll get to Doctor Who eventually. Little Monty Python, the old school stuff. If you guys have questions out there in developer land, if you want to talk smart contracts, Alex is a blockchain and smart contract developer for Chainlink Labs. So we can talk about the documentation. We can talk about some tips and tricks for the year. And we also want to talk, Alex, a little bit about some top moments for the year. Thinking back from a technological perspective, what are some major moments that happened in Chainlink and in Web3 at least in your mind. So, y'all, if you got questions, feel free to drop them in there. We're going to be talking for a few minutes here and doing a catch up. We're doing one of these every day this week from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern time, just to kind of level set and, say, hey, how was the year? How'd it go? So, Alex, how was your year? How did it go?
Yeah, honestly, it's flown by. I feel like, it's just absolutely flown by. And looking back, the work that we've done in so many different areas, there's just been so much. I feel like we've all been going 100 miles an hour that we haven't been able to kind of take stock. I did take a week off with my girlfriend a couple of weeks back, and I was like anxious that I was going to be away from my laptop for a week because I was like, I'm going to miss so much in 1 week.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's honestly been so much fun, and it's flown by. It's obviously, it's been a crazy couple of years outside of all work and stuff anyway. But yeah,
I was trying to think like what were the top moments of the year for crypto, and I couldn't think past September. Like I can only think of the past couple of months of like big things that happened. What happened before? I don't know. Like it all kind of blends together with last year too. So I was trying to think like what happened in January and February. And then what happened this year, and this isn't really Web3, but Elon Musk went on SNL. Like that was kind of Aprilish and Marchish. That was when that kind of really launched into the public consciousness, and that happened this year. That was recently. It feels like 3 years ago or whatever, but that was just this year, which kind of set off NFT somewhere and like all this other stuff there. Which for us, like if you work for Chainlink Labs, you work in Web3, when NFT summer hit, that was manic. Like all of a sudden the game changed and it was all about, instead of like meme coins and dog coins, which are fine if you're into that, but like it's not really smart contracts, but NFTs are smart contracts. And so dealing with that, it just suddenly was like, oh, we're doing gaming now. Oh, we're on like layer 2. All of that stuff was at the forefront. And that's why it kind of felt like a sprint, at least to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for us especially, I think that kind of maybe not kickstarted, but it definitely made us focus more on the layer 2s, the alternative layer 1s, where we were like, people, there are users on these chains now. Let's get there and provide what we provide so well on Ethereum and others. And I think that's part of what made it so manic. All the different products we have already on Ethereum, it kind of brought the other chains into the limelight, and we kind of plowed ahead with that as well. So yeah.
For
100%.
what you do you mostly work on Ethereum, or is it like porting stuff to other chains and making sure there's compatibility? Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, just
Yeah.
in general, like from that developer side on Chainlink Labs, I think people would be interested to hear that. There's only a couple of people here, but that's okay. You guys are like getting all the good stuff.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I specialize in Solidity smart contracts. So when I started with the engineering team, I was working on basically our core software. So the contracts that we have on chain that our nodes interact with. So whether that's OCR, VRF, the back end stuff that the consumers don't see, basically, where just the interoperability between our nodes and the data that goes on chain. As that progressed through the year, I was the lead on the compound integration.
Oh, cool.
So we got that over the line after. I mean, that was a good 6-month slog. That started last year, around about this time actually, maybe like November last year, but it got over the line Q1 this year.
Let's dig into that a little bit in a minute. Tell more of your journey, but I want to rewind to that and tell a little bit of that story, because that was a really interesting case study to me, at least.
Yeah, sure.
From the Chainlink side.
Yeah, we got that over the line, and still providing support for those guys, and we're still obviously really close to that community. So that work is ongoing. We've got more guys on board now, guys and girls who are helping out with the integration, which is great. So it's not just Johan and me internally doing it. And recently, can't give many spoilers about this, but I'm doing the Solidity work for the most part for CCIP. So no spoilers.
Ooh.
Can't really say much more than that, I'm afraid.
Well, it's good to know that it's being worked on, right? And that's what we all assumed. But confirmation, yay, we're working on things. And by we, I mean I'm not touching that. They wouldn't let me touch that, nor should they. Um, that's cool. I said yesterday, and I'll say it again today. I think CCIP, the announcement, not even an integration, not even a live integration, but the announcement of CCIP at SmartCon is one of the hallmark moments of the year, at least for Chainlink and 2021. And seeing it's because of the rise of alternative L1s and NFTs and this desire for cross-chain interoperability. Everybody wants that. Every DeFi protocol wants that. Every time Aave goes to a new chain, it's like a whole new set of liquidity. Every time Sushi goes to a new chain, it's a whole new set of liquidity pools. There's all these challenges that cross-chain needs to solve, and the bridge infrastructure is not. I'm not happy with it. Right, it's not very decentralized right now. So when that announcement came out, like, oh, there's going to be a Chainlink decentralized solution for it, I think that's just one of the hugest things, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes out. Who's going to use it? They don't tell me anything, but I think it's like just such an exciting design space. So it's awesome to hear you're working on that.
Yeah, man. I mean, even from a higher level kind of perspective, where you think about crypto and blockchain in general, I think the long-term goal that you want to get to with these applications, whether it's DeFi or gaming or whatnot, I think to onboard the masses, you kind of need to take the crypto specialized blockchain, very kind of like niche knowledge out of it. And the only way you're going to do that is if you make the application so that the users don't know they're using a blockchain. It's just decentralized. It doesn't go down. The servers can't get shut down or anything like that. And the way you get there is you facilitate any blockchain being part of that application. And that's where protocols like CCIP will hopefully come in.
So I'm old enough to remember when if I wrote a Word document, a Microsoft Word document on Windows on my computer, and I sent it to my friend on Mac, they couldn't open it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, oh no, we don't have Microsoft Word. It wasn't compatible. Microsoft was proprietary about that. It can only work on Windows. And it was stupid. It was such a hassle because like you had to do all these workarounds and like this weird importing, and the files would always open wrong. And then for a little while when Google Docs started too, it was the same thing. They couldn't import Microsoft Word docs correctly. And it took work, but now, we're at this point where it doesn't matter. It's just a document. It's like some doc format. There's the behind the scenes stuff that I don't care about, but when I open a doc, it opens. When somebody else opens a doc on different type of computer, Linux, you can open it on, Ubuntu, and it'll still open. Some format will figure it out. That's what it feels like to me right now. It's like we're on these different blockchains, but no, they're not. They don't talk to each other yet. Like, why not? Oh, you got to do this workaround. You got to add this RPC address to your MetaMask and get the native token for the gas fees and do all this. Like, it's insane if you think about it from like a basic user experience. So I couldn't agree with you more, man.
Yeah. But it's just that thing that you put in those chores, I guess, on the user when you kind of want to abstract those away. And when those things are all computational, they're protocols, they're not people like blockchains are, like Word was and Pages was and all these stuff. You need common protocols for those things to be able to talk to each other, and that's what TCP/IP is. A Linux box can talk to a .NET box, whatever. And yeah, that's what we need in blockchain as well.
Yeah, and that's what we're building. Hey, everybody, if you're just joining us, I'm Andy from Chainlink Labs, and I'm talking to Alex from Chainlink Labs. Patrick Collins from Chainlink Labs is usually here, but he's not here today. He ran off to be with his family. He had something come up. And so Alex and I are being festive. I'm being a little more festive. I'm just going to come out and say
more festive.
Wait, I have Christmas lights. I haven't turned them on.
You look how I feel. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think I got my lights on in the background, but anyways, but we're talking about what happened this year, especially from sort of a technical perspective, and thinking through. Alex is a smart contract developer, Solidity developer at Chainlink Labs, and so we're talking about what he's been working on this year. Get into CCIP a little bit just now, but I want to go back to sort of the beginning of the year. You had a hand in building the integration for a compound, price feeds for compound, and I think this was a really important integration, not just for Chainlink, but for DeFi. Like the industry of DeFi, because so much runs through Compound. Like it's one of these almost required Lego bricks. If you're going through Ethereum, you're going to do some sort of farming and lending on Compound. There's so much liquidity there. There's good APYs there on a lot of stuff. You're just going to run your stuff through there somewhere. And so to have those powered by really secure price feeds is just critical to me. So I was really happy to see that go through. I've been a fan of the protocol in general for a long time, and that happened early this year. And one of the other cool things about that is, not to get too into the weeds, but like there's 10 people watching here, so the business development, like how that came to be, is a little different than how a lot of other protocols come to be. I feel like a lot of times people come to Chainlink Labs and they say, "Help us get started," and people from Chainlink Labs do, and there's like, it's just this kind of like a sales call almost, and then the technology gets integrated, and then everybody gets a tweet and it gets delivered. But Compound was a much more governance intensive process where you and Johan and a whole bunch of people from the Chainlink Labs team were deeply integrated into that community on community calls and in forums, and really participating actively for a long time. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, have you just been a long time community member at Compound, how did that come about?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how the first contact was made between the two, but for me especially, it was a lesson in working with a DAO. I'd never really done work for a DAO before, and like you said, most integrations are specialized teams behind closed doors. You get you kind of come together with those and make some decisions. You do your pitch, and they say what they need, and we help them out, and they integrate, and so on and so forth. But this process, you kind of needed chess pieces. So I definitely wasn't as involved in the community as Johan was, for example. So we had Johan, who was kind of the flag bearer for Chainlink, who was kind of the first person that you kind of see when you want to integrate with Chainlink. We had like a community, I guess you could call them a community politician, because their job is to present ideas, the benefits, the drawbacks, how we would go about it, so on and so forth. So that person was Getty Hill. So he was very entrenched, and still is entrenched in. I think he's got a grant from Compound now for his Oracle work with us. But he was very entrenched and long-time community member. So I'm not sure who contacted who, but Johan and Getty got talking.
And he works for the DAO, the Compound DAO.
Yes.
Oh, that's really interesting. Cool.
So we kind of had the chess pieces of that, the protocol politician. We had our kind of, I don't want to call it lobbyist, but the contact to, like, I guess that's what it was. And then you had the engineer, which was me, and we went. It was very much like writing legislation. The first iteration was Getty kind of saying, "Show us something," and we presented something. I think it was in November last year, and it was kind of like every other integration we do. You just read from our price feeds. They had specific requirements that didn't, it just didn't cut it. So we kind of went way the other way, and wanted and tried to integrate the stuff they wanted, and it was just this kind of back and forth and back and forth. It was politics. It's writing legislation where all sides agree, all parties agree, where you can finally go and put it to the vote. And it was a very satisfying feeling seeing that vote pass through the Compound governance when it was finished, because it was about 6 months work of this back and forth, and just going really deep into the weeds of every little deviation in gas price for every little call that the comptroller might do. And it was pretty intense, but it was very, very satisfying seeing it go through.
I know at SmartCon, Robert Leshner and Kane from Synthetics had a panel on, why go to a DAO model, and it was about this. Like, they both admitted it's harder. Like, you have to talk to a lot more people. You got to get people on board if you're going to do it authentically and genuinely. Maybe that's one of the hallmarks of this year is the rise of DAOs actually making decisions. Not every DAO necessarily made a decision. Sometimes that fell to the same people who founded it that happened to be in the DAO, and nobody else wanted to participate for smaller DAOs. But certainly on some of the larger scale ones, Compound is an awesome example. Decisions came to the community. It's happened that way at Maker for a long time as well, and now this year we're starting to see in a bunch of other protocols, people really pulling it together and engaging in the hard work of governance.
Yeah, for sure. And it has its benefits, it has its drawbacks. I think that's such a poignant point, though, that this year has been the year of DAOs making decisions. I think that's spot on.
Even in NFTs. Go ahead.
Compound only released theirs DeFi summer last year. That was the first governance protocol, on-chain governance protocol. So it's now best in class, and people are using it.
I might argue that NFTs really, like, they launch and the PFP mania happens, and people kind of realize, well, what are we going to do with these PFPs? Yeah. If you have one, you're in a DAO. It's community decision making. It's not a specific on-chain voting model necessarily, but there are some elements of that really ring true that are very similar there. So interesting stuff. Hey, everybody, if you're just joining us, my name's Andy from Chainlink Labs, and this is Alex Roan from Chainlink Labs as well. Solidity developer, super genius. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to say it anyway. Take it, man. And I'm being super festive, and he's not. Here, let's have another sip of festive tea.
Man, I've got the blandest background going on here.
You could not get more boring. It's well, we don't have a green screen on this. So usually you have your Chainlink background. It's even water. Mine's plain tea, so it's not like anything actually festive.
I was contemplating a beer, but I've just come back from football training, so I do need to rehydrate.
Yeah, where we discussed potentially whiskeying it up, and then Patrick's like, I don't really like whiskey. I was like, I don't want
this was so he did. This is a funny. I'm not sure if he's told you this. So he did the 18 hours or whatever incredible video that he did on Solidity course, right? And we had a bet going that if he made it to, it was like 600K in 5 months or something, I'd send him some Welsh whiskey from the distillery down the road from me. And he absolutely smashed it. So I actually sent him some, and I don't think he's touched it yet. Because he said he wants to mix it with like Baileys or something.
Oh,
I know, man. It's called something.
Yeah, it's Baileys. That's what it is, but you don't want to do that.
So yeah, ruin it, man.
All right, here's the link to that free code camp tutorial. If you guys are watching there, I threw that in the chat as well. Will's got a question for you. Here we go. Ooh, question about CCIP. How difficult has coding for CCIP been relative to other projects you've done? Follow-up question, like, does it fit into basic Solidity stuff, or are there like weird workarounds and sort of things that you have to take into account when it comes to bridging that maybe Solidity doesn't quite deal with?
Yeah, so really good question. So I'm a Solidity focused developer. So obviously that kind of restricts my focus straight away, I guess, where CCIP is all chains. So we have to, EVM is the standard right now, but at the same time we have to kind of think, plan for chains that might not be EVM compatible. So that has been a challenge. I think the main takeaway, the way it's different, is that the research team are heavily involved in this project. Whereas before, so like with the Compound integration, it's kind of on us, the engineers and the Compound community to make the decisions and whatnot. But we have such an incredibly, insanely giga-brained research team that I'm able to spend a lot of time with on this project, and it's incredible. It's exciting to hear what they have to say, because some of the stuff they come out with is amazing. So I think leaning on people like that is great, and I think it's a little bit more open-ended than than maybe other projects. I don't want to go into too much because I don't really know how much I can say. But
Well, this is an interesting sort of thing, Will, to address your question. At least what I understand from CCIP, price feeds is a fairly established. Chainlink's had price feeds for a number of years. There's an established method. There's Oracle methodology before that, and then integrating them into a Chainlink perspective that gets built out. And so, if you come in and you need to integrate price feeds, there's a method. There's documents that Alex worked on. There's a really clear, clean path. If you're inventing a new Chainlink decentralized product for a new use case, bridging architecture and cross-chain computation too, like what do you do? Like when things are open-ended, there's kind of a bigger question of how do you want to architect things, not just like what's the way it's been built and how can we optimize. It's just a different kind of perspective there. So I can imagine it's like just a kind of a different experience, different kind of challenge, right?
yeah, for sure. It's a little bit flying blinder, I think, than usual. But I mean, the goal at the end of it is something brand new that we haven't seen before, which is
and totally so needed. Like,
yeah.
this is one of these things. Price feeds people get when you explain it to them, but as soon as you say like bridging and decentralized bridging architecture, people are like, yes, oh, obviously that's a
Mhm.
clear need, which is exciting. Of course, implementing it and building it got to be a little more challenging, I'm sure. One of the things you touched on, Alex, there was, this year the EVM standard really, kind of kept its crown. A lot of the Altel ones that have succeeded used that Polygon, BSC, Avalanche C chain. But then you hinted also at we've got a whole bunch of new standards that are kind of coming out. Cardano for sure. Polkadot. What's theirs called again? They have a
Uh,
different, whatever it is, right? Gavin made a new one that's kind of based on Solidity, but kind of has a new take on things. And
oh, we've all
Solana's.
Solana. We already have price feeds on Solana. I believe we have some on Terra as well.
Is Terra EVM?
I don't believe so.
So, I mean, we're seeing more and more of this. Maybe Algorand is coming new. I don't know if Chainlink's talking to them, but or they're talking to Chainlink. But like, there's starting to be a lot more options for developers, either who come from an existing background, Rust, for example, for
Mm.
Solana, um, or these ecosystems. Maybe they're getting big enough where they can say like, okay, we're just gonna put our flag in the ground and say you use the EVM you want to use. Avalanche subnets, when they start coming out, C chain is one, there's an EVM, but they make a D chain and that's something else, right? And they make an E chain and they make, go on down the alphabet, and they can make a whole bunch of different types of chains with different virtual machine models. We'll see how that kind of plays out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I think the developer ecosystem, it's still overwhelmingly, for smart contracts at least, overwhelmingly EVM based. So, we're talking about tools like Hard Hat, like Brownie, the stuff that Patrick loves, yeah, all that type of stuff. DApp tools, these new tools that are coming out now, they're EVM based. So I think that will probably maintain its supremacy for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but these other chains aren't messing about. They're lucky in that they get to view it from a later perspective, so they can see what works, see what hasn't worked so well, and they haven't ossified as much as Ethereum has right now. The process of getting an EIP in takes years sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
whereas with these new chains, they don't have to wait that long because there's not so many users. There's, I mean, for the most part, smaller teams, I guess. So they can move a bit faster. So that is definitely an advantage. So it could go anyway.
I like this point and this idea. If you're like on Solana, you're a Solana core dev, and you're taking a look at what's available on the EVM, well, you've got all these tools too. You've got Hard Hat and Brownie and all these things. Well, that's a huge opportunity to fund a team to just build that for Solana. And that's a much faster process than the whole product market fit and figuring out somebody thinking like, you know what I really need? This weird tool that only I think I need. And then it turns out 10 other people need, and then you change it 5 times and then 100 people, and then it becomes a standard, right? That's a multi-year product design product go to market. But now that you kind of see, like, here's what blockchain developers need, here's what smart contract developers need, and there's working products, you just make one on whatever it is on Cardano. You just make one for XYZ, whatever other chain it is. So we might see much faster development of those tooling environments over the next year. I would be shocked if we didn't, honestly.
I agree. I mean, for Ethereum ecosystem, we had stuff like, well, I started with Truffle, Ganache, stuff like that, and then Web3.js, and then Hard Hat came along, but it wasn't even Hard Hat; it was Bidler. I think that's what it was called, Bidler initially, and that was like super fast Truffle, and then it became Hard Hat, and then Brownie came out, and that took years. All that stuff that's a long time. Whereas all these other ecosystem can say, "Okay, that didn't work. That didn't work. They've done this to optimize this, to optimize that," and they can just do it off the bat. So yeah, I completely agree.
How long have you been in crypto? Like, interested, paying attention to the space, learning, or any of that?
Paying attention. So I've got one of those stories where a friend of mine at university bought some Bitcoin in 2011, and he spent like a semester of his student loan on it or something, and we just took the mick out of him. And then, like, yeah, 7.
And then he dropped out of college.
He is sitting on a beach somewhere. Yeah, I think that was about 2011. I didn't get into it, and then so I graduated in 2015. I reckon around 2016 I started to get interested, and yeah, play around with some stuff. I remember in 2017 I deployed an ERC20 coin. I can't remember what it was called. It was just some crap thing that it was just one of these ones that I just gave myself everything and then sent some to friends and stuff.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do? 2017. There's nothing to do.
But then obviously the world fell out of the bottom of the crypto sphere, and it was horrible for a few years, and it just kind of left it. And then like 2019, I'd done a few. So I'd had these like past experiences where I just dabbled for a little bit, and I was working in this corporate company as a software engineer, and I'd done it since university, and I was just really not. I just wasn't sold on it, and I jumped from company to company. It's all this, it felt the same. You have to play the politics internally, and it was like time and seat meant more than productivity and stuff like that. And so I saved. It was 2019. I saved enough money to give myself like 6 months runway to just find something else, basically. And that is when, about 3 months in, I found my 2 days a week contract work, and that was because I was writing about smart contracts on Medium. About a month after that, Patrick found me, and I got the other 3 days a week with Chainlink, and then like a couple of months after that, I was full time here. So I don't know, like I think 2019 is when I got properly into it, as in this is what I'm gonna do now. Whether it's like writing docs or whether I'm just writing articles about smart contracts, I'm just going to be in crypto doing this thing now, because this is, I would do this in my spare time. That's how much I'm into it.
That's all it was for me. I was just spare time.
Yeah.
I stopped. My wife, we made a deal, and it's like, okay, I'm going to stop buying things. And I'll only, whatever I work for, those are the coins I get. That's what I did, and that was like 2018. That was in the pits or whatever it was, and so I just worked measly things, just writing blogs and hanging out and doing that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was like I wasn't going to be doing anything else. I was going to either play video games, or I was going to write a blog once a week and do that sort of thing. It was even less. It was once a month. It was easy. But that's kind of how I maintained that exposure over time, and eventually things happen, as they say.
I think it's quite a common story. It's people kind of wanting to get into it, and I'm not condoning anyone making a big jump like that. If you do what you think is right, but I think it's a common story in crypto. It's one of those things that the people who are full time in it now, it was almost like an obsession of their spare time before they could go full time. And honestly, I just feel lucky. I feel incredibly lucky.
Now we're festive. Now we're giving thanks for the bounty of working in Web3. Hey, everybody. I'm Andy, and this is Alex. We both work for Chainlink Labs in vastly different capacities. Alex is an actual Solidity developer who's building real things. I am on the content team. I built real things, but they're things like YouTube videos and social media posts and things that help educate people around the system.
Building a community, man. That's important.
Yeah, man. I do try. I try at least. I like going. I've been going to some live events lately. I went to Miami and I went to New York and NFT NYC and did some of the Chainlink events there where we'll do a panel and like just meet cool other builders in the space and talk to them, and then just talk to the people afterward. And I absolutely love meeting Chainlink enthusiasts, whether they're developers or there's people who are like, I just read everything you guys write and I like it a lot, and I just wanted to say hi. I think that's really cool too. And I meet a fair amount of those folks as well. That's been a new development this year because of just at the end of the year because of COVID kind of chilling out a little bit, or at least it was briefly there.
I'm definitely going to try and get to some of those events because so here's another weird stat. So you joined about the same time as me, right? So it's been 18 months almost now.
Yeah, about
18 months. So last month was the first time, November was the first time I met a fellow Chainlink colleague in person.
Yeah, same. Mine was just a little bit before because somebody happened to be going through my town. I'm not going to dox myself, but like it's not a regular town that people come through. And somebody happened to be that's on my team, and so I ran out to meet him for half a sec and shake hands.
How great was that? How great was that?
It was cool. It was awesome.
Yeah. I met a few in London, and it was like long lost friends, you know.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
We did this happy hour at NFT NYC, and it was a bunch of Chainlink Labs folks from all over. So there were developers and product marketers and people ops, people recruiters. I'm on the content team, the events team, legal team. It was like all this, and then a ton of Chainlink users, people who came in who have integrated the price feeds or VRF, who we know, projects that I've interviewed on YouTube and stuff like that. It was really fun. It was just like a different kind of vibe. It wasn't, this is publicity, so it's somewhat public, but this was, just kind of a nice event. There was a lot of people. It was cool. Dustin, like our main recruiter for technicals, he was DJing. He's a EDM DJ.
Wow,
he DJs for ETH Denver too, I think. So I'm gonna try and make it there.
We have this thing internally where you get paired up with a random person for a virtual coffee. And I remember having a virtual coffee and coming off the call, just be like, that might be the coolest guy I've ever spoken to.
Yeah, he came on the same time as us too. I think he was recruiting in the space, but he came full time for us right around that time as well.
Yeah.
We got this little cohort. What's interesting now at Chainlink Labs is a lot of the people who are coming in they're not blockchain native. They haven't had that obsession. They come from enterprise. They come from other jobs. They're experts at what they do, but there's this different kind of learning curve for them. It's not, it's about like, how do I make sense of this space and what we're doing in it, as opposed to, I don't know, for you and me, well, at least for me, it was like, I know what Chainlink does. I know what Web3 is. It's like, how do I be a part of Chainlink Labs and do this responsibly, this sort of thing. It was just a very different kind of vibe. It was cool though.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to try and get to some of those events. I think I missed the London Chainlink Christmas community meetup last Friday. But I'm definitely going to go to the next one.
Here's the events I'm tracking is ETH DevCon is doing an event in March. They just announced yesterday. I'm not sure when in March, but they said March, and it will be in Amsterdam.
That's close. Yeah.
So that's not proper DevCon. Proper DevCon is Bogota, Colombia, and that's next December. So that's still a year from now. But they're going to do this event in, I think, March. And then ETH Denver's in February. That'll be hopping. And then
it's over. So I was talking to Patrick about this because I was gonna go meet up with him in where he is based, and then we were gonna go down together. But it is over my girlfriend's birthday, so that is not happening.
Can't do it.
Happening.
Good responsibility. Be responsible. It's a good thing. It's important. But don't worry, it's not like crypto's short on events. There's plenty of events. Because then in April, there's something else in Barcelona. I can't remember what, ECC maybe or something like that. Might be in Barcelona in April. And then also Avalanche is having a conference in Barcelona at the end of Q1 somewhere too. So like, and those are just the announced ones. Stuff always pops up like, oh yeah, we're having a 20,000 person conference. Suddenly, everyone come.
Have you been to East End before?
No, I know a lot of those guys, and I know a lot of the people in those DAOs, and so I'm really excited to go. But I haven't been.
No, me neither. I've never been to a big event.
I'm excited. Hey, everybody, welcome. We're just talking about the year. We just kind of got off on a thing because we're just hanging out, being homies. Alex and I started at Chainlink Labs around the same time, and then got split up immediately. He works on documentation and technical writing, and I work on the content team. I do some social, a lot of YouTube and podcasty stuff. I spent today recording explainer videos. And so like I got my green screen and my lighting set up all behind this and everything. We got a couple of new explainer videos coming out about some Chainlink stuff that people here may know about, data feeds and insurance, I think, stuff like that. But we'll have those coming out in the next couple of weeks sometime, hopefully.
I have to say, whenever I dig into our blog or our YouTube, I am consistently impressed with not just like the volume of the stuff that we put out, but it's such high quality information. Like the blog especially is so well written. Like it is really good. It is really good.
It's we just had like kind of a year end, content team. How'd we do? And the volume it's insane how much we touch. I feel like we might touch more than anybody else in the space. And it's a relatively small team. But yeah, the quality, I can say this. I'm very happy to say the quality of the blog is good. I don't touch the blog. They don't let me. They figured out, those first couple months, like maybe we'll put this guy in front of a microphone.
Let's put him on YouTube.
That's pretty much. But that's okay. I don't mind. Yeah, it's just awesome to be a part of something. But what's cool is like, I just read something this morning, something that came out a couple of days ago that was awesome. Like it was Chainlink blog content. Man, what was it about? Can't even remember now, but whatever you turn on for the actual Chainlink official blog, you're going to learn something. Like there's something new. And here's what else I'll give people a sneak peek at those. The language is very precise. It is word by word editing and consideration that these writers are taking, and people that really understand Chainlink tech stack and the place in the ecosystem, DeFi and NFTs, and like where Chainlink belongs. So read those with a very careful eye. Those are carefully created to be very precise and accurate, and those are really good resources.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely check out the blog. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a link in here too, though. Something I found out we had today, I knew this, but I kind of forgot about it, is something that Chainlink Labs puts out. Alex probably had a hand in some of these. Oh man, hold on. Twitter gave me the Twitter shortened link. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna get the real link in here. It's kind of a resource page for Chainlink. It contains core Chainlink articles, including like what is blockchain, what are smart contracts, what is the blockchain Oracle problem, what is Chainlink, and then it gets into use cases, has videos to a bunch of sort of key Sergey presentations and things like that. It's kind of a one-stop shop. I just dropped it in the comments for like if you want to send, give this to your friend who's like, okay, you're always on about Chainlink. What's it about, right? They finally tell you like, I'm ready to be link pilled. This is the page. Like you can just give them this as a one-stop shop, and it's a curriculum. Like there's a lot there, but that's one of the things that kind of came up today talking about to the content team. We were reminded of it like, oh yeah, we have this for people if you want to really dig in.
Wow, this is awesome. I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's from chainlinklabs.com, because we've kind of used that as a Chainlink Labs resource when new people come in, here's what to read, or when applicants come in, here's what you need to know about Chainlink before you go to an interview and before you really put together an application package, stuff like that. But yeah, I just put it out on Twitter today because like it's incredibly useful for community as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Can we talk about a really festive topic? Developer documentation.
Sure.
Woo! Hey, you are super good at developer documentation, and I remember like this is kind of why you stood out. Is you took our docs from pretty good to like industry standard amazing. You were part of that push, really creating those. And I remember watching like we would compare web traffic stats and things like that, and they would go up and really you guys were really proud of that, you and Patrick and whoever else was working on them. Do you have like a philosophy around documentation, or is there something um, that you can talk about in terms of how do you do good documentation? Is it just do it and that you're better than 90% of developers out there, or what's some of your secrets there?
I mean, I think in the case of the Chainlink docs, I think it was a case of someone owning it. I was the first one to own the docs. Before that, it was there wasn't a product owner of them, I guess. So no doubt that was the main part of it, is that someone was focused on it day in, day out. But I think so because I'm an engineer, I know what I want to consume when I go to docs. I think that was the biggest part of it for me. And what I saw initially was just too many words, full on too many words. Too many words. Maybe the information architecture was a little bit off. So how your brain goes down the menu, it's kind of like, what's this? Am I in the right place? How do I get started? Or if I know the context already, where's the bit that I can copy and paste? That's what I'm here for. And honestly, as a developer, sometimes you kind of want to be on the page like 3 seconds tops. So the price feeds, for example, we didn't have a page that showed all of our price feeds addresses. That wasn't a thing. So that was, it was putting that in first when we had maybe 20 price feeds, and then one would come out the next week. So I was like, I can do this manually. It's fine. We got to the stage where there was like 10 a week and then 20 a week. And I was like, okay, I need to automate this a little bit. And so it's just stuff like that. What we did start from a place where we knew everyone pretty much who were coming to our docs had context already. They knew what Chainlink did. They were here for something very specific, like the address to consume VRF from or something. They just knew what to do. So the first step was to kind of cater to those people, make it super easy to land on the docs, find the right page, copy and paste, and leave the docs. We want you to build stuff. We don't want you to be using your cognitive load and just navigating through our docs. We just want you to be here, get what you need, and go. So that was the first step. I think the step that's been ongoing this year, which I think it's so well done so far, is increasing that kind of that user base where you're focusing on that one persona of someone who has context, is kind of keeping that great for those people, but kind of broadening the funnel a little bit to bring in people who maybe they're developers already, but they don't know about the blockchain. So we bring them in at a certain point. Maybe none of that context is there, so we want to bring those in as well. As long as you maintain the core functionality of developers can come here, get what they need if they've got context, and go. I think increasing that funnel and getting those other users in, it's only going to make the space better. We want to be able to teach people not just about Chainlink. We want to teach them how to write smart contracts. Because then you can do cool stuff.
I think this conversation is germane for any developer in the space, even if you're considering it and still thinking about it, because at some point you're going to have to teach somebody else. Like the space, the design space is too big. The opportunity is too big for the people currently doing Web3 to do it all. Like there's just no way we can't do it. So we need you, people in the comments and chats. I see y'all are watching, and we need you to learn it and then teach somebody. So at some point, I think you guys, whoever it is, are going to be out there, and you're going to have to onboard somebody. So knowing what context they have is really important. I that's a really interesting sort of developer relations question. Now I really wish Patrick were here because he thinks about this a lot. Is you get people of all different levels of experience coming in, and they want to do different things. And most of that traffic, the traffic on the docs, is going to be, let me get what I want and let me get out of here. But if you only optimize for that and you shut out everybody else who's like, how do I get started? You don't want to lose those people. Those people are crucially important too. And you want to make sure that their journey is good too. So how do I get started? When I get stuck, because you're gonna get stuck. That's just a part of the nature of it. How do I not get discouraged? How do I find out what's next? How do I go to the right places? Yeah, I'm really impressed. If I can follow along in the docs, and I'm not a developer, and I open it up, I can navigate my way around, I know what I'm doing, and I know the Chainlink terminology, so that helps. But still, if I can do that, they're really amazing. So I've been super impressed with those. So hey, thanks to you for like taking the first lead on those and making them clean, and then handing them off to the team now.
I
Is
mean,
that
I just started it. Like, there's a whole team of people now who've just taken it on leaps and bounds, way better than I could have taken it. So yeah,
good?
credit to the Chainlink team.
Audience, we got a few minutes left. We were gonna go short because Patrick wasn't here, but we just ended up talking because bros like to talk. Now we're pals. Now you got to come to Denver. Oh wait, no, you can't go to Denver. You got to come to one of the Europe ones. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Europe somewhere.
If you can get to the Amsterdam one, that could be a thing. That could be a thing.
I'm gonna try. I have a family vacation, and I haven't taken a big family vacation in a long time, so I'm not sure. There might be some overlap.
I want to be the one to pull you away from a family vacation.
I haven't unplugged for a long time. I'm a plugged in fellow, but that's okay. But anyways, if you guys got a couple of questions, anything you want to run past Alex, if you're new, hey, I'm Andy, and this is Alex, and we're talking Chainlink in the year in review. We talked about compound integration early in the year that Alex was an engineer on, a crucial part of. We talked about his latest kind of focus, which is as a Solidity dev, which is working on CCIP. And if you ain't aware of CCIP, do a little Googling. Chainlink CCIP. I'm not going to find the link for you because it'll come up. And if you don't know about it, get excited because I'm excited. I tweeted last week that I was like still like a Deco fanboy at heart for Chainlink, and people kind of jumped on me like, "Whoa, yo, CCIP." And I was like, yeah, it's cool, but like I'd love Deco. But now I've dug into CCIP a little bit more, and oh boy, I'm getting pretty excited.
I think Deco is still pretty important, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's proving something came from a specific server without having to alter the server itself, right?
Yeah. Without showing the data. It's ZK stuff, but like oracleized, basically.
Yeah, that sound. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that is very cool.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. The guy working on CCIP is like, no, you're cool.
I mean, I'm not gonna,
I know. No, I get it. Anyways, what else did we cover? We talked about CCIP, of course, and what that is, and events. We talked about events in the space and kind of meeting each other. A little bit of like insider baseball in the Chainlink Labs process. Because I don't know if people know. So Alex and I have been here for about a year and a half. We joined about the same time. And when we joined, there were about 70, 80 people. And now there's over 300. And that was a year and a half. And so not just the scale of the integrations and the products and the total value secured, but the Chainlink Labs team and figuring out like, how do you deliver these at a secure way, like actually securing billions of dollars? How do you scale a team to kind of get that and deliver? It's been pretty amazing. So if you are considering sending in an application, this is a wild place to work. It's high performing people doing high performing jobs. It's a pretty cool spot. So anyway, I got off on a tangent there, but still, it's cool. Check it out.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I'm gonna go hang out. I got some family stuff I'm gonna go do. And tomorrow we'll be back. Patrick will probably be here. Actually, let me see. We got somebody coming.
Yeah, who's on for the so how long are you guys doing this for?
All week, every day.
Just this week, or are you doing next week as well?
Just this week. It's kind of year end. Next week, everybody's kind of just like fudging out a little bit. So tomorrow, big guests. We have people from the Ethereum Foundation, Austin Griffiths, and Wesley, who I don't know. Do you know Wesley?
Big fan of Austin. We were on the same panel in the SmartCon.
Come on by, hang out. Invites on my calendar. Just go look it up.
I mean,
And
it's 5 to 10 here.
oh yeah,
I've
all right,
promised,
dude.
I've promised my girlfriend date night tomorrow because we couldn't do it tonight. So I
All
would
right.
otherwise. I would otherwise.
All right. Well, if a hot date doing a Chainlink Q&A session for end of year coding wrap
Yeah.
up.
Austin Griffiths is a hot date. So
That's my hot date. I don't know Austin. I got one of his NFTs for like one of his like he kind of does these like gas price NFTs and like weird, interesting sort of things. I got one of those because it was fun. So I know his work and of course Ethereum Foundation. I'm super familiar with him, so I'm excited to meet him and talk. So y'all come back, you hear? And
yeah, definitely. I'm more than happy to.
we'll hang out. Everybody, like and subscribe to like this video so more people can see it, and subscribe to the Chainlink YouTube channel. Of course, if you're getting this, if you're watching this, you probably are subscribed. So thank you for subscribing, hanging out. Don, thank you for your questions and comments. Will, thank you for your questions. And for everyone who was lurking, thank you for being here. And happy holidays. Happy end of year wrap up. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. See you later, Alex.
See you guys.
Woo!